Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Daniel Isaac. This is Podcast for Liberty. And as usual, Podcast for Liberty is supported by the Society for Liberty and Prosperity. Society for Liberty and Prosperity is devoted to teaching of civics and advocating for one's ability to pursue their civil rights. We're more or less a self help organization and a civic organization. Please go to http www.societylb.8m.net. Check us out and join us. Or you can donate to us on the website. There are links for both. And drop me a line, send me an email, and we'll be in touch. Okay, now what we're going to talk about is the Constitution, and the National Archives has placed trigger warnings upon both the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Now, this is a ridiculous exercise of power. And the founding documents for this country were well crafted, well thought out. The founding fathers were masters in the language, and it was a group effort. The best minds put together our Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Words have meaning, and the founding fathers knew full well the meaning of the words they spoke. There was no hatred in them for the meaning of the words, for the words they chose. They chose the words for the power they had. In fact, you want context? Here's the context. Their love for the people, their love for this fledgling country that they were creating, their love of God and country drove them to word the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence as they did. They did it according to the language of their time and place. For us to fully appreciate the language that is in the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, we must learn a little bit about the history of the time to fully understand the words. We must understand the meanings of the words in their time. To take those words from that time and call it hate speech in our time is just blatantly wrong. It is taking their words out of the context, the proper context to which their meanings were understood. Now, granted, our language has changed over the years. There have been some words that have fallen out of use and some words that have come into meaning. The Constitution and the Declaration of Independence do not contain any new words. In fact, they contain the old words, many of them that fell out of fashion. But we must learn what the meanings of these words are. For example, a gay man used to mean a happy man. Now it means a homosexual. You must understand the context of this and what the proper meaning of each word is. Now, my example cannot be found in the Constitution or in the Declaration of Independence. My example is just that, an example. Now, I don't expect you to believe everything I tell you. It is. As soon as it comes up, a little bigger for you. The speech in the text is in context, in for context. As the speech is viewed in the proper context, then the speech has power, whether it's written or spoken. Everything is in the context of its time. Four score is 80 years. But how long has it been since we've heard it expressed that way? That five score be a century ago. 245 years the United States has been in existence. Soon we will be celebrating 250 years. What was that sesquibicentennial? I haven't even heard how that's supposed to be expressed now. But the enemies of the Union would have us fall tomorrow. They're working very hard towards that. And this, in my view, is yet another assault upon the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And we must remember the history. We faced a similar crisis when Abraham Lincoln was first elected, just before the Civil War. But the thing, and we had to fight a civil war in order to fix it. Back then, slavery was a big issue along with states' rights. Nowadays, civil rights are at issue because we have a president that seeks to separate us and discriminate against us based on race and creed and color. We have a Democratic Party that seeks to destroy the Negro race. And yes, I said that. Oh, why are they kowtowing to them? Simple. They don't want people to think badly of them. They don't want to let people know what they're really after. I see what they're really after. They're going to put them in charge and then they're going to put them down. Just so long as the rich people get richer. They really don't care. who claims power, so long as it's putting money in their pocket. Brings us back to Mitch McConnell. He is another one. All he cares about is what money it gets put in his pocket. If there is no money to be put in his pocket, he'll go for the cause of liberty. But you dangle a few dollars in front of him, and he'll turn on a heartbeat, and he'll help the Democrats. I've already sent a letter to Mr. McConnell urging him not to cooperate with the Democrats in the budget process. Do I want the government to stop? Well, perhaps I do. Because those of us who truly know what's going on aren't going to miss the government for much. And it may slow them down a little bit. I'm not willing to give up my liberties just yet. And if it takes a shutdown of the government to preserve my liberties, so be it. Government subsidies should be a hand up, not a handout. Too much now, it's a handout because they can't take care of themselves. And that's what the government's telling you every time. Yeah, all you people that are on welfare get food stamps. That's what the government's telling you. You can't take care of yourself, so we're going to have to take care of you. So here's a couple of dollars to tide you over. If we had more jobs, more people would be able to take care of themselves. That takes entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs willing to take some risk. But the thing is, as much of the risk is coming from the federal government. Taking on of risk is being discouraged and punished by higher taxes, by an inability to procure permits and licenses, by demanding that these onerous regulations be followed to the letter. And God help you if you miss dotting an I or crossing a T because the government's going to come down on you. Now, by the government, I'm talking about the federal government. I live here in Kentucky. In Kentucky, we're still fairly free. There are some issues surrounding COVID that we're dealing with here. Some questions that need to be answered. But I do believe, as far as the COVID is, we're on the downward track. We're gaining control over it. I believe that we have enough of those of us who have natural immunity, and then we add to those who have been immunized. That should not be much of an issue unless there's something wrong with something like the immunizations, which I'm hearing more about breakthrough cases, and I'm wondering why that is. If you're immunized, you shouldn't be having breakthrough cases unless there's something wrong with the immunization. Now they're talking about booster shots, and I don't believe that booster shots are the answer. Now, when it comes to my turn, before I take a booster shot, I'm going to get an antibody test. And if I still have sufficient antibodies, I'm going to put out the booster shot as much as I can. And that's my choice. There are those for religious reasons or maybe medical reasons or other reasons. There are those who elect not to take the immunization. And the thing is, they have that right. But they shouldn't demand of the government to take care of them either. And the government pretty much has taken upon themselves themselves to do all these programs, to spend all this money, and for what? How does it make our life better? Come and take over. The healthcare system is beginning to result in shortages. Government red tape at the port for our goods is keeping the ships at sea. Government refusal to enforce the law is creating the crisis at the southern border. Everybody's working very hard trying to do their job. I wish the president and the vice president and the speaker of the house all sit down and start doing their job according to the oath that they took to support and defend the United States of America and their Constitution instead of assaulting that very beloved draft. I don't know whose orders it was to put a trigger warning upon the Constitution, but I'm calling upon the National Archives to remove it. For it is not hate speech. If anything, it is love talk. The words are strong, I'll grant you, but they're meant to be. They're meant to be their own authority given of God. What's next? Is the Bible going to be hate speech? Is the Bible going to be banned again because it contains hate speech? No, the Bible is our lessons. Those are our lessons, our definitions of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The lessons that we have learned through the ages. What happens in war? What happens in peace? What what happens when we do one thing? What happens behind that? Cause and effect. A lot of wisdom in the Bible, a lot of wisdom in the Constitution, a lot of wisdom in the Declaration of Independence. And truly appreciate the Declaration of Independence, one does need to look at the exchange between Thomas Jefferson and King George to gain a full understanding of what the situation was. I'll leave that to the scholars. The important documents for the people to know are the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Declaration of Independence is what led us to create the Constitution. Declaration of Independence says we are our own state. And the Constitution is our society's contract. The government must start upholding its end of the agreement for the people to have upheld theirs. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so annoying seeing all of these assaults to the Constitution. First, they assault the First Amendment through censorship. Facebook's jumped on that bandwagon and is using their influence with others. We need to do the same thing. Please go to the website and join the Society for Liberty and Prosperity. Let's get our numbers up to where if we have an issue such as this, If we can get our numbers up high enough, we can shut down the National Archives by sending them so many emails they can't possibly address them all. And they'll also be so busy picking up our emails coming from all the various emails that they'd be able to do little, if any, legit what they call legitimate business. Then we can pretty much write our own ticket, tell them what we want, and pretty much we'll probably get it. As it is right now, our manpower is sparse. I don't think it'll take millions of people, but it may take thousands. But the thing is our numbers are growing, but they need to grow more. We have chapters available in 49 of the 50 states. We have Liberty and Prosperity in New Jersey. You can seek them out too. We're all going for the same thing: liberty, greater liberty in our day. Greater liberty, which seeks to achieve prosperity. We were on the right road to that with President Trump. Price of gas started coming down. Price of goods started coming down, and not in a deflationary economy, but in a good economy. You got the red tape, you got the cost of doing business, the prices come down naturally. Prices go up, the more red tape you have. The more hoops you make people jump through for the sake of government, that is nothing more than just another tax. It is a tax of our time. It is a tax of our effort. For every form that the government makes us fill out to do something, it takes time and it takes effort. Not all taxes are cash money. Taxes of time and taxes of effort. And that time and effort would be better off spent managing our business, managing our own affairs. But no, instead of doing that, we have to manage government's affairs. We have to give them the information that they seek, which they seek all the information. They want to know what we do to 24/7. Tracking devices on the cars, tracking devices on our phones, tracking devices on our computers. Alexa, Cortana, Google. These are all the spies that report on us what we do. And what does the government do with it? They sell it to the highest bidder. Whatever business comes along, oh, I want that information. This is what I want. Okay, well, this is how much it's going to cost you. And the thing is, it's on top of the tax. Does the government really need all this money? Joe Biden already spent $6 trillion. He wants to spend 10 trillion more, or more, or possibly more. Yeah, I know it's only 6 trillion more this time, but no, this is just the first round, or second round, third round. What about the 15th round? They want all the money. They want all the information. They want to know what everybody's doing, and they want everybody to agree with them. And anybody that speaks out against them, they want to quiet and vanquish. Or maybe they just want to kill them, get it over with. Yes, I said that. Maybe they want to kill them and get it over with. That's how China deals with it. That's how Afghanistan deals with it. That's how Iran deals with it. Let's just kill them and get it over with. We ain't got to worry about them no more once they're dead. That's not the American way. American way is to let them speak. They may have some points. There may be some truth in what they say. It's important. Let's take it into consideration. But the decisions that we make need to be decisions in liberty, not in bondage, not in totalitarianism, not from the top down governance. It's from the grassroots. It's from all of us. The government should be our servant, not our master. Those of us that understand the true role of government, the role of government that's spelled out in the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. The tyranny that we are beset with must come to an end. And I'm calling for it to come to an end. And I'm calling for justice. The United States is being run by a bunch of criminals. Let's mass all the charges and round up all the suspects, and let's start having some trials. Let's show them for who they are. Even the President of the United States should not be held above the law. Nancy Pelosi above the law, above their crimes. They should be held to account. Whatever happened to justice being much them? As a gentleman, the first thing I call for is the National Archive to remove the trigger warnings. It is unpatriotic to censor speech. The trigger, yeah, and even the idea of trigger warnings does not vote well with the public square. Joe Biden and his administration and his help, his friends, all those associated with him, Democrats, communists, totalitarianists, misogynists, racists, for they are the true racists. Take a look at what they're calling racism. Let me assure you, the Society for Liberty and Prosperity is a diverse group. We have black, white, yellow, purple, purple with blue polka dot people. I don't care if you're purple with blue polka dots. You want to be a member, you can be a member. Either pay your dues or do the work, or do both. Or you can donate to the society. donate to our work, donate to our civics classes, to their advocacy. You can donate to our general fund. And we do have our civics class every Friday at First Baptist Church in Barberville. That's on the corner of High and Main Street. Enter into the parking lot. There's a door in the corner. You go in there, follow the signs, and get you right into where we have our civics classes. Our civics classes start with a video and then go into town hall style meeting to where we digest the video and its truths. We add context to our lesson. And I do good to make sure everything there is truthful and accurate. And I do the best I can. And I urge you all to join us in Barberville, Kentucky. And even if you're not in Barberville, Kentucky, go to the website http www.societylp.am.net and join us. If there's not a if there's not a chapter near you, we create one. We've got a procedure for that. If you don't mind putting a little bit of work in, we can do it. We can all do it. We can all get together and do this. We can defeat the forces of the enemies. It is in the working together that we can do this. It is in being together of the same mind we can do this. I believe there's more of us patriots out here than there are enemies to the Union. I do not believe we need to fire a shot, but we do need to come together and have our war within the public square, the war of words. We have the arguments. We have the answers. They don't. And when they resort to using brute force, and we need to meet them with that force for force, put them in their place. Law and order is what we have on our side. Well, they have. My name is Daniel Essick, and this is Podcast for Liberty. Until next week, let's take care of each other and our families. Hold close to those you love and tell them that you love them. For we don't know if we have tomorrow. Until next week.